promoting it. So if you haven't been watching us on social media or you haven't been on our calendar, who in studio this week is we have the opportunity for having Dr. Nandi. Now, Dr. Nandi is from Ask Dr. Nandi, which if you're not familiar or if you're a follower of his, because I looked at your Facebook and it was overwhelming how many followers you had. But just to give a little insight about it is Dr. Nandi has a physician talk show that digs deep into the medical topics. It airs daily on the Impact Network on Comcast and Dish here locally every day at 1 p.m. Now, Dr. Nandi is a practicing doctor in the suburbs of Detroit. He's an assistant professor at the Oakland University and William Beaumont School of Medicine. Born in India, he immigrated here to the U.S. as a child, graduated from Ohio State, and then that little hesitation there. Of course, we would always like to say, but we love Ohio State too. Ohio State, then came to Detroit to study medicine and then graduated at Wayne State. So welcome to the show, Dr. Nandi.
Thanks, Annette. I appreciate you having me. And for those of you listening who've never met Annette, just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. She is exactly who she says she is. I mean, she stands by her word and is really, there's some people you hear on the radio or watch on TV and they're kind of nice, but you meet Annette and they're just, I haven't met a nicer person. She just helps people out as much as possible. So it's really a wonderful pleasure to be on your show. And these guys are having fun in here. I wish you could, you will be able to see this, but everybody here is having a blast. So I appreciate you having us.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, they can go to your website at askdrnandi.com. That is a fantastic website, a lot of resources out there. But share with us a little bit about your show.
Yeah, so it's a medical lifestyle show, and people hear a medical show, they think we're talking about all these horrible like cancer and et cetera. We talk about everything from A to Z, very serious topics, but also we talk about things like when should you get organic vegetables, and really why is the rate of violence in cities make diseases worse. So we cover the gamut of topics. What we try to do is have fun so that medicine can be intimidating, right? It can be. When people go to a doctor's office, they don't always look forward to it because there's always a lot of intimidation. You're afraid, and it's not always fun. You're getting poked, etc. So what we like to do is have fun during the show, and then you learn kind of on accident. So you learn as you're having fun. We have really great guests. So the show's about, it's an hour show. And we have a person that comes in, let's say they do yoga and they talk about why they started doing yoga. And then we have a practitioner, somebody who's an expert, talks about, what the latest and the greatest is. And we have our studio audience. This is the most fun part of our show where we say, ask Dr. Nandi. So the studio audience comes in and asks us questions about anything to do with yoga and we answer it. And then last, I kind of give them a few take-home points because after an hour show you sometimes leave and you don't know what happened, and so we give them some take-home points, and that's our show. And we've been doing it for a couple of years now and had some good reception.
What's fun is I've been watching the show now that you and I've met, and I've become one of the favorites on your Facebook page, which is a great resource for people. There's even fun things about why laughter is so incredible, for your life expectancy. And so becoming that favorite, I've been watching your shows, and some of the studio people in there I'm recognizing. And so that's very cool because, once again, you're videotaping it here in Detroit.
Yeah, and it's really important. I'm glad you touched on that. Just like you, it's really important for us to be in Detroit. We have some of the world's best experts right here in Detroit. Whether it be University of Michigan, whether it be the Beaumont system, Henry Ford, all over. We get experts from every corner of Metro Detroit, and we shoot our show in Detroit. We've been doing that for the last 2 years, and I'll tell you that we've been asked to go to LA several times. They said, it's going to be easier here. We do it better, and I said, listen, we have all the talent in the world in this state. We make some of the best movies, in the country here, and I think we can do the same thing with the television show. So we've been blessed to do that, and we'd love to have a studio that we've built. We've been shooting in a variety of studios, but we'd love to make a studio here in Metro Detroit, hopefully in the city of Detroit, where we can actually shoot our show. But we also like to partner and make a clinic where patients can come in. And so if we're talking about eye diseases, for example, then those eye doctors can come in and see those patients. So they're adjoining together, where there's a studio and a clinic right next to it, and they can work together. And we'd like to do it on a place where there's a bus route or somewhere folks that don't have insurance or they can come in.
That's fantastic. One of the things we want to talk about after the break is what he's talking about this clinic. I'm excited.
Let's talk a little bit about Partha Nandi here. Let's go back to Dr. Nandi. So your first name, when people go to the website and they want to study a little bit about you, your first name Partha is basically a historic, biblical nature of a god in mythology, a god of Achilles.
Yeah, it didn't help me when I was in middle school, and they called me Martha quite a few times.
Right.
So it was always fun explaining my name. But you're right. Yeah, it's a Hindu name. So I'm from India, so it's a Hindu name. I think it's a god like the Achilles, of Indian mythology. So I think he vanquished and made the world safe again, which makes you feel good.
Achilles was a healer, actually, and he had
Right.
special arrows in the bow that could heal or kill or maim or whatever it had to do regarding that situation. To me, hygiene and health is very important. I'm almost 50 years old, and I've tried to maintain my health over the years. And what I've learned, and tell me if this is true or not, that I think oral hygiene is really the key to overall health in probably 80 to 85% range of your overall body's health over time. And oral hygiene is just critical.
I think you're right, and what it is even more than it being critical for the health of the rest of the body. It's a sign, because people who have good oral hygiene usually follow with other practices, because it's not easy. You have to follow a routine every day. You tell your kids, brush your teeth, floss, and make sure you wash your mouth, etc. And then you have to follow those same routines in healthcare. So we talk about those kind of things in our show. And so you're right.
When you were talking about that, trying to make it fun and exciting for the children, it's always exciting when you teach a child that brushing your teeth is a fun thing to do. We have a 2.5-year-old, and she just loves it when I take the toothbrush out. She wants to brush her teeth. Now she's always saying, washing hands, because it's so important to keep your hands washed. The mucous membranes are what really rule the human body. We're organisms, and if you don't take care of those mucous membranes, we can have issues. And you talked about visual hygiene, with people's visual health, and that too, in and of itself, is a mucous membrane. And everything enters in through the eye. When you drive on a motorcycle without a helmet or goggles on, everything's entering your head and into your brain and into your body. And people sometimes don't think about the repercussions of the health of those issues with your body.
Yeah, and you said something very important. It's the kids. I have a 2-year-old too, and he loves brushing his teeth. But the idea is that giving them some examples so that they can follow it for their lifetime. And I think a lot of us don't do that anymore, because they watch their parents not do the things that you tell your kids to do, and then they follow suit. And so you'll always see that the parents who follow good practices, their kids follow practices
they
like
will
that.
emulate their parents.
Yeah.
Saying the things that you're saying is the reason why we are having you here with us, because there's such a synergy between what you do and what we do, and that's trying to educate people and make them aware of the beautiful things that they can learn from other people in life when you need help. And we're in the service business. You're serving people. You're there for them to teach them how to be healthy. And with health comes hopefully wealth and happiness throughout the years. And we try to educate people regarding their largest investment, because shelter is critical, and having a home. And we don't want to see anybody out there on the street. And the people that are on the street are unfortunately dealing with health issues that people that have shelter aren't a lot of the time. So it all relates to each other. And thank you so much for being a part of what you're doing. And we hope to keep cross-promoting and being involved with you.
And absolutely, what you said in the beginning about refinancing and the money that you can hopefully get in your house, if that money can be used for healthcare. And the other thing you said, if you're homeless and you don't have a good home environment, allergens, you can be on the street, and disease states are increased. So absolutely, there's a whole connection, and we're all in here to promote also the state of Michigan and our community, and what better way to do that. We have a show that talks about Detroit. You're talking about the real estate market and what we can do, and you're giving tax tips for folks who are having problems.
Exactly.
All those, your financial and your fiscal well-being directly translate to your emotional and health. Because if you don't have the finances, if you don't have the wherewithal, and if you've got your head buried in the sand that we talked about, and you have financial issues, well, guess what? Your high blood pressure, is it going to be any better? No. Your diabetes, etc. So absolutely, it's a concert of things. You can't do it in isolation. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot in common.
There is. We're all connected in one way or another. And of course, we have the best host here in the world, my wife, that helps to educate us about the real estate industry and teach us the things we need to know to protect ourselves and our largest investment. Besides ourselves and human bodies, our health and our families, we have to have that shelter. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Beth.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we're going to let Liz have the helm, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her upbringing and what brought her into what she's doing today. This is Real Estate 411 on WJR. The number is 877-266-3883. That stands for 877 Annette. God gave Annette a 7-letter name. What do you know?